Look into the eyes of the person closest to you. Now here's the strange part. The color you're looking at probably shouldn't exist. For most of human history, almost everyone on Earth likely had brown eyes. No blue eyes, no green eyes, no gray eyes, just brown. Then something happened. A tiny genetic mutation appeared in a single person thousands of years ago. One small change hidden inside DNA. And somehow, that single mutation survived wars, migrations, famines, ice ages, and thousands of generations until it reached millions of people alive today. Which means every blue-eyed person on Earth may be connected to the same ancient ancestor. Think about that for a second. A feature shared by actors, athletes, scientists, and ordinary people around the world may trace back to one human who lived thousands of years ago. But that raises an even bigger question. If humans survived perfectly fine with brown eyes for most of history, why did different eye colors appear at all? Why are blue eyes common in some places and rare in others? Why are green eyes among the rarest eye colors on Earth? And why do some people have two completely different eye colors? The answer isn't just about eye color. It's a story about evolution, migration, survival, and one of the strangest genetic accidents in human history. To understand that story, we need to go back tens of thousands of years. Back then, life was very different. Humans weren't living in cities. There were no roads, no schools, no countries, and no written language. Every day was focused on survival, finding food, avoiding predators, protecting family. During this time, brown eyes dominated the human population. Scientists believe early humans almost certainly had brown eyes because brown eyes contain higher amounts of melanin, the pigment responsible for coloring the iris. Melanin also provides protection against sunlight, which was especially useful in the regions where our species first evolved. For thousands upon thousands of years, eye color wasn't diverse. Humanity looked remarkably similar in that regard. Then, somewhere between 6 and 10,000 years ago, a small mutation appeared in a gene involved in melanin production. The change didn't create a new pigment. In fact, this is where the story becomes surprising. Blue eyes aren't actually blue. There is no blue pigment inside a blue eye. The blue color exists because of the way light scatters through the structures of the iris, similar to how sunlight makes the sky appear blue. In other words, one of the most recognizable eye colors on Earth is partly an optical illusion. Nature didn't create blue pigment, it created a new way for light to interact with the eye. Once this mutation appeared, it didn't stay in one place. Human populations were constantly moving. Families migrated, communities mixed, generations passed. Over thousands of years, the mutation spread across regions of Europe and beyond. Today, millions of people carry descendants of that original genetic change. But blue eyes were only the beginning. Human genetics is incredibly complex. Different combinations of genes started producing other eye colors. Green eyes emerged. Gray eyes appeared. Hazel eyes developed. Every variation represented a slightly different balance of melanin and genetic instructions. Some became relatively common. Others remained extremely rare. Green eyes are a good example. Only a small percentage of the world's population has naturally green eyes. Yet, despite their rarity, green eyes have survived for thousands of years. Why? Because unlike traits that directly affect survival, eye color doesn't usually determine whether someone lives or dies. Nature wasn't choosing a best eye color. It simply allowed many variations to continue existing. But blue and green eyes aren't actually the rarest eye colors in the world, not even close. Some people are born with amber eyes, a striking golden color caused by a unique concentration of pigment. Others have gray eyes, which are even rarer in many populations. Then there are people with heterochromia, a condition where each eye has a different color. One eye might be blue, while the other is brown. Imagine looking in the mirror every morning and seeing two completely different colors staring back at you. Rare, unusual, and completely real. There are even stories of violet eyes, though most scientists believe these are usually caused by lighting conditions, genetic disorders, or very rare pigment combinations, rather than a true purple iris. Human eyes are far more diverse than most people realize. What's even more fascinating is that eye color can reveal clues about ancient human migrations. Long before passports and national borders existed, groups of people moved across continents carrying their genes with them. Thousands of years later, traces of those journeys can still be seen in the distribution of eye colors around the world. Certain eye colors became more common in some regions and less common in others. In a way, every iris carries a tiny record of where your ancestors may have traveled. Scientists continue studying ancient DNA to better understand how these traits spread through human populations. The deeper researchers dig into genetics, the more complicated the picture becomes. Eye color isn't controlled by a single gene like many people assume. Multiple genes interact with one another, creating countless possible combinations. That's why even siblings from the same parents can have completely different eye colors. Nature isn't following a simple blueprint. It's working with an incredibly complex genetic recipe that can produce surprising results generation after generation. But perhaps the most fascinating part of this story isn't the science. It's what eye color represents. Every pair of eyes carries a record of human history. Somewhere in your family tree, countless ancestors survived hardships that could have ended their bloodline forever. Ice ages, droughts, disease outbreaks, wars, dangerous migrations, natural disasters. Every generation passed its genes to the next until eventually those genes reached you. The color in your eyes is part of that journey. Whether your eyes are brown, blue, green, gray, hazel, amber, or something unique, they exist because thousands of people before you survived long enough to pass on a small piece of themselves. Think about how unlikely that is. One missed encounter, one failed migration, one harsh winter. One different decision made hundreds of years ago, and your eyes might look completely different today. Or you might not exist at all. The next time you look into a mirror, remember that you're not just seeing a color. You're seeing thousands of years of evolution, survival, chance, and human history staring back at you. And somehow, against incredible odds, that story is still being written every time a child opens their eyes for the very first time.